Hello everyone. So in this session we are going to see about PSUR section 5, which talks about estimated exposure and use patterns. So estimated exposure it itself it's talk about you are estimating something. It means you are deriving something, you are assuming, and whatever the data are available, and you are deriving something approximately. You would have this many patients could have exposed, so that derived you are deriving by a kind of assumption based on the available data, that is called estimated exposure. So the estimated exposure also, as per the PSUR, we need to be accurated with the document, with source document and everything, and you are estimating the exposure. That's what here we need to interpret in that way. And use patterns. So how this particular medicinal product has been utilized in the market, we need to understand the pattern of use of this particular product. So this section talks about estimated exposure and use patterns. So as per the guideline, this section is being divided into two chapters. One chapter which focus on cumulative subject exposure in clinical trials, and another section, another chapter which provides the cumulative and interval patient exposure from marketing experience. So under this chapter, again there are some subsections are been provided, and post authorization exposure and post authorization, particularly they are focusing on special population and post authorization use, like kind of the trend, the other post authorization use. So in post marketing they are focusing in these three different subsections. Okay, we will go through something more about how the guideline talks about in each section. So in this section, when you narrow down and you can understand little bit more, so usually the estimated exposure, usually they will derive by using the available volume of sales and volume of prescription. Based on that they can derive to the estimated exposure. Usually the finance team, usually they will liaise with the point of contact to understand the sales data. Based on that sales data, the exposure could be derived by the safety team. Okay, so here volume of sales and number of prescription, volume of prescription, based on that they could derive, and they can also apply here the quantitative analysis or qualitative analysis. Quantitative means what volume they have, that is quantified, they could able to measure that. Based on that, and even they can use the qualitative analysis. Qualitative analysis is the actual use, actually when they are having that particular data, that also can be analyzed. So quality, usually in clinical trials and all, example, if you wanted to say qualitative analysis means in clinical trial data, quality means actually they know how much medications they are investigational medicinal product they are giving to the patient, how much stock is remaining, and when is the next dose and everything. It has been very qualitatively, you can know accurately how much medicinal product has been utilized. Even the post marketing setup also, that can be applied, qualitative or in quantitative measure also, that can be used. That's what they are trying to say here. And patents. So in this particular section, what they wanted to understand is pattern of use. So sometimes during, mainly for the post marketing setup, your medicinal product is being utilized, you have indicated and you have sale, you are doing the marketing authorization for some other indication, some other use, but in the market actually the trend is being changed, and the use of the particular medicine in terms of medication error or overdose, drug abuse, drug misuse, due to some reasons there, you can able to see some pattern also. So that also can be able to derive to understand what is the pattern of use based on this volume. So that's a different chapter altogether. So just to keep it in mind, that also can be understand by using this number of cases and market exposure and everything. Based on that you can keep it in mind. And in this particular section you have to use a particular method how the company is planned to derive a sales exposure. Okay, what methodology you are going to use, the available sales data converting into exposure, patient exposure derivation. Okay, that method has to be very clearly written in that particular section. And also what are all the limitations, so you have something, you don't have something, or some data for 6-month data, 2-month data you not available, but you have assumed that the same sales can be utilized here, so disproportionality you can use the same exposure here, or so that again whatever the limitations you have to derive it here. And you have noted that this method whatever you are being traditionally used, that method is not that much you felt at some time that you need to upgrade the method, or the limitation has been corrected, so now you are upgrading into that method. Then you need to provide the details that the change in methodology, the exposure. And when you are changing any methodology, then you have to provide both methodology in that first PSUR, like in the particular, in the previous method when you calculate what is the amount is coming, when you introduced that method from some justification, that what by using that method what is the sales or patient exposure is coming, so they could able to understand the difference of these two method. From the next PSUR onwards, you can, if that works correctly, then you can use only the updated methodology alone you can use, and you can proceed further. So in this particular section all these aspects they are keeping in mind, and they are narrowed down into section 5.1 and 5.2. okay, so here when we go for section 5.1, cumulative subjects, that is subject exposure in clinical trials. So in this particular section, usually each marketing authorization holder might be having a different their own company template. But anyways, the guideline is providing the boundaries how to be done with example of tables. Everything has been given in the GVP guidelines. You can refer that. And in this particular section, they will focus on cumulative numbers on ongoing or completed clinical trials. So the numbers of participants. Anyways, in clinical trials we use the, even though the subjects, how many subjects, how many number of clinical trial is ongoing, and so the cumulative numbers has been mentioned based on the ongoing and completed clinical trials. And anyways, they recommended to provide in a tabular format in this table 1, table 2, table 3, like that they could be present in this particular section. So the table 1 we can say as an example, the cumulative numbers of ongoing and completed based on IMP, investigational medicinal product, versus placebo comparator. So everything would be given. So always cumulative means from DIBD, development international birth rate. So from that you can consider this one. We understand that from very old products may not be having the data at all. So you can write a short summary that there is no availability of any cumulative subject exposure in clinical trials. That's a company stand actually. And further you can derive this. This could be the master table, you can say. Further you can derive this particular table into age, sex, race or ethnicity. And also based on the medicinal product, that is the investigational medicinal product, again you can subdivide, and you can very clearly you can give based on the dose, route of administration, or by indication, or by population. You can give like a pregnant woman separately, hepatic, cardiac, and relevant genetic polymorphism. Depends upon the medicinal, that is investigational medicinal product, you can give this particular thing. And finally you are going to derive a subject days, subject months, or subject years. Depends upon the medicinal product, the investigational medicinal product. You are going to derive the subject exposure in the clinical trial. And usually, as you know, in the clinical trials, it's everything is under control. So probably you might be having the exact accurate subject exposure you could able to derive. And one challenge what you need to keep it in mind that all here are getting involved, everything is going to be a patients usually we will always we use the term as subjects here. Sometimes there might be a investigational exposure on the healthy volunteers. So healthy volunteers involvement in this particular derivation might be there is no use of deriving the subject exposure or so that healthy volunteers use has been the intention, the scope is different. So if you have a data for healthy volunteers, it is advised to present in a separate table, and overall safety profile they are unable to derive, so you can present in a separate table, and a succinct separate explanation would be advisable. And in other sections, how you are presenting, so based on the dose or route of administration or by population, how you are going down in the subsequent sections, based on that you can decide what type of table can be matched, so that both could be able to very clearly interpret. Example, here you are doing age by sex, or here you are providing the tables by route of administration, but wherever the other safety sections and other places, relevant places, you are talking about the dose or population specific, it could give some kind of for better readability, go with the consistency approach. Okay. And next is 5.2, cumulative and interval patient exposure from marketing experience. Now when it is coming to marketing experience, always it is recommended to present interval and cumulative separately, and from the data log point where you have left from the interval and cumulative separately. Interval from where you left from the last time, based on the your PSUR review period, you are going to present the marketing exposure, means patient exposure, and from here from IBD international birth date to data log point. From data log point you are going to present this cumulative patient exposure. That is, first you are going to derive the sales data, what sales data, in which unit what you are getting. So that is very important. Each medicinal product might be having a different types of exposure to be calculated. Example, some women's health product you might be using as a cycle, and some other anti-infective you are going to use in a different way, and the routine diabetic or any other blood pressure control medications would be using in a different way. So the method how you are going to calculate, it differs from medicinal product to medicinal product. So that methodology has to be very clearly given here. And when you are presenting a sales exposure here, always they would recommend by dose wise or by indication wise, by age wise, sex wise. Here also it is applicable when you are identifying some kind of signal. For example, pattern of use, exposure in pediatric population, or exposure in cardiac patients, or exposure in particularly in a particular region. If you have identified some kind of safety signal that is due to if turning into a safety signal, what type of safety signal it is, and if that have a direct impact on the exposure, that has to be very clearly defined here, and that need to be given. And particularly in EU, if you see, usually they will ask pediatric patient exposure separately, and also in EU, each country, the competent authority, see example, each country, around 27 plus 3 countries, separate exposure data, and they might be requesting. So it is again a company specific, and also a product what you are deriving, that specific you need to derive. So the general calculation here, usually each company will follow a different thing, but a general calculation could be here like how much milligrams you have sold during your review period. This much milligram you have used during, means sold out during this period, and you can check WHO defined daily dose. This also should be the same unit. Milligram has to be divided. If it is gram, if you have calculated, then you can turn into gram and you can divide this one. You are going to get one value, okay, and that value if you divide by 365.25, then you are, this is a year, so you will get a patient treatment year, okay. And sometimes instead of 365, again they would be dividing into 10,000, so that 10,000 PTY. So there are different types of approach. I'm not going into detail that one. So this how you will derive a patient treatment year. What does it mean? Patient treatment year means, for example, you are deriving a 520 patient treatment year, or like this. It means for a particular patient, if you are going to treat, or if you are going to give this much milligram, for example here you have 1 lakh milligram, okay, whatever it is, if you are going to have 1 lakh milligram, if you are going to treat this one particular patient, one patient, okay, 520 years it will take to consume this entire 1 lakh milligram. That's why it is talking about patient treatment year. How many years? 520 years. Examples I'm saying. So 520 years it will take to get utilized this much milligram of medicinal product if you are administrating as per the defined daily dose or whatever it may be. That is what it is. You are deriving it. Why it is being useful to derive this particular thing is, that is a separate chapter altogether, in order to understand the reporting rate for a particular event of interest. So they would be using this particular PTY calculation, okay. So now we are going to focus on 5.2.2. So just now we have completed 5.2.1, which we have seen the calculation and everything. Now 5.2.2, which focus on post authorization use in special population. So as I said, when usually it again marketing authorization holder specific, but if you are going to submit EU PSUR pediatric, if the particular medicinal product what you are using, if it is indicated for pediatric use, it is mandated, because there is a new guideline for pediatric use. There is a new guideline has been released, so hence pediatric use sales exposure is mandated. Apart from that, if you come across anything like special population, like you can say elderly population, if you wanted to talk about, or any pregnancy or lactation, or hepatic renal impairment, or any other comorbidity or genetic polymorphism, if you have come across, or anything special population, it could be based on the ethnic group, something if you wanted to present, you have to present in a same way, and you have to use the methodology with the same use. And pediatric population, if it is a UPSUR, again it will be going to be a mandated one. And one more thing, just I wanted to highlight that in this particular section 5.2, which focus on again MAH sponsored any non-interventional studies, if you have come across, then that also will get included. But in 5.1, previously what we have seen, that is again it is a mainly focusing on MAH sponsored clinical trials, okay. So MAH sponsored clinical trials, traditional clinical trials, that is a interventional trials, what you can say. But in 5.2 does include a non-interventional studies as well, if it is available, or any other source information if you have come across, so that also get included apart from the study. anything specifically you would have initiated some kind of spontaneous program to report for any pregnancy or something. If you have come across anything, that also, if it is a valid source, that also can be utilized in this particular section. Okay. So here section 5.3 that focus on other post authorization use. Here marketing authorization holder usually if they become aware of any pattern of use could be considered like and also if they noted any safety data, example, any evidences of overdose or misuse, abuse. So if the patients are using beyond the recommended indication or beyond the RSI, reference safety information, if they are using this particular medication, and if they seen any trend of anything, they could be described in this particular section. And example, usually some of the patients using the anti-epileptic drugs for any neuropathic pain, or for migraine, usually for prophylaxis purpose they are using some some medications, but it is not prescribed as per the indication, or the patients are taking as per the indication for a sake of there are no alternatives are available if they are using that one. So that need to be analyzed in this presented in this particular section. Usually based on that, if you noted any significant or if they noted any kind of signal, so that has to be precisely mentioned here, and the signal part has to be taken into the respective section of the PSUR. So here in this section, just you can keep it in mind, anything overdose, any trend analysis and use patterns. So those two things you can keep it in mind. Any trend if you have observed, or any use patterns. So that need to be checked in this particular section. That could be abuse, misuse, anything. And also if there are no alternative and they are using it, but in the clinical trial or any other clinical trial guideline, in the absence of this particular authorization, is there any clinical evidences also if you get the anti-epileptic drugs using in neuropathic pain also, some of the beneficial effects, or if some supporting evidences also is there, you can present a short summary here. This is how this section 5 of PSUR flows. Okay, thank you.